All right. So, welcome to Mind, Body, and Recovery. You'll need a little squishy mobility ball or a tennis ball of some sort, racket ball, something like that, or even a stress ball might work. And we'll get started. So, we're going to start with just the whole palm of our hand. And I want us to just start making a circle, and you get to determine how much pressure you want to put into that hand. Now you can do this sitting at your table and pressing your hand into the table, or standing at the countertop, whatever is comfortable for you today. I'm just choosing to sit on the floor. And you're going to start to find some spots, especially right here along that large muscle there, along kind of this horseshoe area, even onto the sides of the hand. But some of you, with arthritis and whatnot, might find it comfortable to spend some time at the base of the fingers, or even going into the fingers. So I just want us to spend the next minute just playing around and putting some pressure into the hand. And we're just focusing from below the wrist down. So hand and fingers only right now for this next minute. And then we'll get into the wrist. So remember, mind, body, recovery, right? We could shut off our mind and just do this, and you'll still get some great benefits. But just again, respecting and putting some pressure into some of those points where, oh, I really feel it along that thumb joint. And I'm going to spend a little bit more time in there because, yeah, this is nothing out here for me. So it's going to be different for each person, putting some attention there. Good. So we're going to go ahead and switch it over to your other hand. And we're going to, again, focus on that thumb area, horseshoe around, or anywhere along the fingers. Just like we've done in the past with the foot, you can think about each one of these first joints here. They tend to develop a lot of arthritis, maybe just even pushing into it. Might spread it out. Knock on wood, I don't have any arthritis in my fingers as far as I know yet, but pretty sure it will come one of these days. But that's what this is about, preventative. So some of us were trying to improve the inflammation of those tissues. So I can tell this one side is not as sensitive as my right. So that I will look for over time. The more I do this side might not be as sensitive because I'm staying on top of it. But we can stay preventative or start to improve things. No, it's not going to get rid of your arthritis, but it will help you manage. So a lot of exercise practices and deliberate things are about managing as well. So hopefully they don't get as bad as they could if you were ignoring these things. About 10 more seconds on this side, going into your fingers if you need to. Good. Now the next one, we're going to go into our wrist and our forearm. So in this case, you might want to go by a table. You can go up against a wall if you want, or sitting at a table, or finding your dresser if you're in your room or something like that. Or again, kind of going up against the wall, which will take a little bit more shoulder. But see if you can find a spot, and I'll just start timing us now. So for the next minute, I'm just kind of rolling along that forearm, putting as much pressure as I need to, kind of changing the angle of your arm. So I'm rotating in to get those muscles along the side. I'm going to go back to just straight on. And then I'm going to try to come off to the side here. Now, some people might be extremely sensitive. The more sensitive you are, it means you have a lot of inflammation in that area. So we're just trying to massage out those areas. It's a little bit more enjoyable if you go hire a masseuse, right? Or have them do some work on you. But it's good to know these techniques and be able to do them at home as well. You could even use a rolling pin for this one that the ball won't move all over. So we're gonna go to that other arm. And again, just kind of rolling. Well, if you didn't know it was election day today, you would think there was some kind of a big stakeout going on, because on the way here, I am not lying. In my 35, 40-minute commute, I think I counted well over 10 police vehicles on the highways here and there, off to the side. So, my, oh my. Made me say my speed limit. So remember, changing that angle, getting on the edge of those muscles. And we're going lengthwise with the fiber, but if you were practicing this a little bit on your own, you know, you don't have to stay away from, you can always do side cross fiber massage as well, is really nice. We've got about 8 more seconds on this side. And I'm sure you're feeling a difference from one side to the other. Good. So now we are going to, again, find a table. You can actually go onto the floor for this one, or stand up next to your table or your counter. But we're just going to actually put pressure onto that ball. Now, if it's a squishy or a stress ball, perfect. That's like the ideal kind of ball, these mobility balls. If it's a tennis ball, it's not going to squish as much. But so you're just going to put some gentle pressure, and you're just going to go from, you know, one side of your hand and travel to the other side of the hand, just stretching out those fibers, muscles. Again, I would imagine most of us are most sensitive right here on your big, right along the edge of that thumb, but not everyone. Some people might be in their wrists. So if you've had wrist surgeries, or you have what we call carpal tunnel syndrome, where those carpal bones start to kind of close in, and then everything, the nerves don't, I start to get impinged or pinched a little bit. This is a great way to help you manage some of that and spreading it out. You never want to do anything to pain. But because if it's a rounded surface, just imagine all those little things in here, muscles, tendons, ligaments. And as you put pressure with the ball, it's kind of spreading them out a little bit at a time and putting some nice stretch, natural stretch on there. Let's go to the other side now that you've been hopefully pressing as I'm chatting away, pressing down, moving from one side of the hand to the other, finding maybe a little bit more sensitive spot. Oh, I just had a nice little pop, little self-adjustment, which is wonderful. Whatever hand is more dominant or arm is more dominant, you're probably going to have a little bit more sensitivity, inflammation on that side, because you're always gripping or grabbing things a little bit more often. So it's a great way to recover those hands. Good. All right, so we are going to move on up our arm today, and we're going to go into the triceps, okay? So you'll have to position yourself on your counter or bed, just in this position so that you can You can maybe sit on a chair and go right next to your table. Okay. Or, you know, in someone's living room right now, I see like a couch with a nice firm arm on it. You can even go right up to that arm and just go along there if you need to, something like that. Oh, that feels great. So play around with rotating your humerus, right? Your palm is either up or in or down, and you're rolling right along this backside of the arm. This is great for those of us that want to improve our lymphatic drainage. Women, men and women, but definitely improve that a little bit more for us women. Good. You can come all the way up into here, maybe even into your armpit, but just be careful, right? It gets very vascular in there, so don't put too much pressure. And all that bloop, bloop, bloop you're feeling is just those muscles kind of blooping over the ball. If you find a really sensitive spot, just hold it there. Maybe even do an elbow extension and flexion so you're lengthening and shortening that muscle back there while you're holding that sensitive spot. And you just come all the way down till you get to that elbow. You're not going to be on the elbow bone itself. And you can always go cross fiber as well. If you have a rolling pin, again, it won't move around as much. Probably should have told you to get one of those too. All right, so we're going to switch over to the other side. So just turn and face the other way. Oh, that felt great. I always say when I do self-massage or myofascial release kind of stuff, it hurts so bad, it feels good. Kind of a cliche, isn't it? So going along that arm. I'm hoping everyone, I can't see everyone, which is just fine, but I'm sure hoping everyone is finding a spot they can do this on a table or your dresser if you're in your bedroom or something like that, or run into the bathroom. Bring your computer with you. Good. And again, changing the positioning of that arm is going to allow you to go from triceps to more where all those lymph nodes drain and improve that lymphatic drainage. Just don't press too hard. I mean, I know we all have massive muscles in those arms, but still got to be careful how much pressure you put down. And just a reminder, you can kind of go cross fiber on those muscles. We're just working from above the elbow into that armpity area. Good. All right. So this one you can sit in your chair or sit on the ground. If you have a rolling pin, I just want to give options because I don't know what everyone has. If you have a rolling pin, you can just hang on to it and you can start to go into the lateral thigh or quad in the inner thigh, and you can kind of go like that. If we just have this ball, we're going to press into the ball as we move it up and down those muscles. Okay, it's going to kind of tickle / hurt. I'm just going to do like one hand and then the other to roll that ball a little bit easier. If you find a spot like my lateral quad is a little sensitive today because I went running last night and enjoyed that beautiful evening. So you can kind of push down and move that ball around there, okay? But you just don't want to be on that patella, that kneecap. I know I have black pants on, but right above the kneecap, you can kind of go right on the edge of that vastus medialis, that big thigh muscle there. Oh, it feels good, right? Hurts so bad, it feels good. We're going to spend about 2 minutes. We're already 45 seconds into this first minute to just stay on this front of your thigh. Get a little arm workout too as you're pressing down. Now we can certainly roll around on a foam roller, but that takes a little bit more upper body core strength. So I just wanted to show how can we use a tennis ball or a mobility ball in doing these things. You can be sitting in your chair as well, doing this. Get out to that outer thigh a little bit. Oh, really dig in there. Pressing in with your hands. Maybe you need to use both hands. And guess what? You're also improving here by pressing in. You're improving your wrist strength, right? So we have some tendons that run alongside, or muscle that run alongside here that really, they don't do a lot of contracting and lengthening. They're very fibrous. So this is probably the best way. They don't really stretch, in other words. You see people trying to stretch out their IT band. It really isn't a muscle that actually stretches very much. So this is going to be the best way to loosen those things up to the side. Let's go ahead and travel onto that other leg, okay? So using the pressure with your arms as you moved up and down that thigh, find those sensitive spots, breathe through it, and maybe just hover over it a little bit. You can just pin and press a little bit, or just little tiny motions. Some of you, I mean, all of our pain tolerance is different, right? So for some of us, we might think about this as like, it shouldn't be jumping through the roof painful, right? It should be, you know, a discomfort, irritation kind of a thing. Because let's face it, you're trying to loosen up a lot and release a lot of inflammation in those tissues. And I'll say this again. Again, you're just moving yourself, the ball around wherever you want to. I'm just trying to get a lot of surface area in these 2 minutes that we actually did 3 minutes on the other side. So we'll do 3 minutes on this side. But I'll just remind us again that doing foam rolling, which this is considered foam rolling or myofascial release massage, it does not create more flexibility. It doesn't make us more flexible. What it does is loosen up those tissues so they're easier to work with, which in turn you are able to technically move through usually a bigger range of motion, and they just recover better. Other things that are out there, and you don't need all of these things if you don't want. I find I get enough out of this, but I got a great deal on a percussion or a therapy gun as well. Kind of vibrates, has different attachments. And so that can create some friction and warm up those muscles and vibrate. And that's a great option as well. They're super expensive though. I'm trying to think. Oh, someone told me one time, they're like, if you have a sander, you wouldn't want to put the sandpaper on it, but just a buffer. That's what it is. A buffer kind of does the same thing. So if you have one of those, you can play around with that, and that really helps you get into your hamstrings. Okay, so kind of shake those legs out a little bit. We've spent about 2 to 3 minutes on each leg there. Good. So we're going to go down to what's not going to feel so comfortable. And that's going to be the lower leg. So this one you'll need to sit on. Now, if you're sitting on your bed, the hard part is you might need to have some books underneath you or something that's more solid, because otherwise your ball's just going to sink right into your mattress and it's not going to really give you much pressure. We want to try to find a firm ground. Just getting creative with you all, because I have no idea what you have at home, but maybe you're on your couch, just take your couch cushions off because it's firmer underneath if you're not able to get onto the floor. But we're just going to place that ball underneath that lower leg, right above the heel, kind of in that Achilles tendon area. And I want you to just start to point your toes and then turn your toes up towards your shins here, okay? So just getting a little bit of, you're pressing down with that leg. So you're actually going to use the strength in your quad to push down while you're moving that ankle around a little bit. And you can do some circles as well. And now we're going to start to move that ball up, whether you scoot yourself or just slide that ball a little higher up. And now we're a little bit further up onto that Achilles tendon. And all your Achilles tendon is this big gastroc muscle, and then the one below it, your soleus muscle. And they come down and they insert at the bottom of your heel. So it's the end of those muscles where they kind of come together and then go down and insert. So, but it gets pretty sensitive and pretty tight. So this is a great way. It's kind of hard to really stretch it out all the time. So this will help to mobilize it as well. And you can go side to side. If you have a rolling pin, then you're kind of stuck with going here. Notice how I'm keeping my buns on the ground and I'm just wiggling up and down as well, getting a little friction in there. The ball's rolling. And now let's move it up a little bit higher. Okay, this is where we start to really get into where it's sensitive. Woo, getting into the base of that soleus muscle, side to side. You never want to do anything super fast and ballistic. You want to start slow, and then maybe you're able to go a little faster with it or do this. If you're holding your ankle flex like this the whole time, you're defeating the purpose. You want to just relax those muscles, and you don't want to be pointing hard either. You can move in and out of it with that ball pinned in one spot, but try to relax the ankle if you're moving the ball around or moving your body around the ball. Let's go up again, scooching up even yet a little bit higher onto that lower leg. Now you're getting more into what we call the belly of the muscle. So I'm actually, whoops. Got to move over so you can see. Okay. So I'm up into the belly or the middle of my calf. So I'm coming all the way to the outside and inside edge of that gastroc soleus. You can rotate your thigh a little bit, get onto the edge. If you find a spot that's pretty sensitive, just pin and move on it a little bit. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Let's go up even yet higher, okay? So kind of the top of that lower leg. One area that I'm going to be super conservative about and tell you, I'm just going to use the word never to be safe. Never foam roll behind your knee. Do not ever go in that area. Just safe to say, don't go in that area. You can butt up right up against the bend of the knee, but you have a bursa sac in there and you do not want to pop that puppy or you won't be walking. You could do some major tendon damage, right? So stay, to where those muscles start to come in and insert across the knee, but just stay away from that soft area back there behind your knee joint. All right, let's go ahead and just move around a little bit. It might feel a little sore because you really dug deep in there in between those muscle fibers. So let's go on to that other side. Okay. I don't see any chats. Everyone's hopefully doing pretty well. So we started low on our lower leg, right above that heel into the ankle, and we just kind of pressed it down. There's not a lot of space to move around. So we're just going to do some ankle motions while we're pressing down into that ball underneath there. Good. Just a reminder in case I forget to say something at the end here, because you are just like exercise in general, when you're contracting and lengthening, you're releasing a lot of fluid, right? Our muscles are made of fluid. We need to replenish. The other thing you're doing with this, same thing with exercise, so we're going to move up a little bit as I'm talking, is you're releasing a lot of toxins. Just like when you go get a deep tissue massage, if you've never gotten one, well, this is kind of what it feels like. And so you really want to make sure you're drinking a lot of water. After you do something like this, it can really trigger a headache. Some people have said, oh, I got a migraine after we worked out the other day and did all that mobility stuff with that foam roller. I'm like, I don't know that it was a migraine. It might have been just a toxic headache. So just keep flushing out with fluids, better safe than sorry, right? And we're gonna keep moving up. So now we're at the bottom of that, where those muscles come down and they start to get really narrow. So hitting that bottom edge of the muscle belly itself. And I'm trying my hardest to relax that foot. When we have tension, we tend to contract, right? Or hold it. Try to relax and breathe through it. I wanted to go into the areas today that we really don't spend a lot of attention on, which we should. Our forearms, our arms, our hands, lower leg, side to side. And again, you can kind of wiggle when you feel, again, the muscles are just kind of melting open around that ball and you're stretching those fibers out. So these are like my muscle fibers. It's not exactly, but that's a good idea of what's happening, right? And we'll go up a little bit higher. And this is where we can really take advantage of kind of rotating that thigh in and out and getting on the outside edge. Keep breathing through this. I'm acting like it doesn't hurt, but it does. It's pretty intense. And we'll go up once again. This is where we're right below that knee joint. Here's my kneecap, right? I'm not gonna get that space at all behind my knee. That's just a no-go. No-go. It's called your popliteal fossa, just in case you wanna know. A little anatomy lesson. Stay away from the popliteal fossa. Good, and let's move that leg around a little bit, the ankle. Pump it around. Okay, so I'm just gonna try to give you some variety so you can play around with this. First and foremost, if you don't wanna be down on the ground, you can come up to a chair or your couch again, something, and you can work on pushing down into, so we've got our shin bone. I've got leggings on, but you can see, so this is my shin bone here. So I'm really getting the muscles right here, right? Right in there, tibialis anterior. Those are the muscles that pull the toes up towards the shin when they contract. And then when these guys contract, my ankle goes straight. So the more we mobilize these guys and get them loosened up, you're gonna start to free up that ankle, right? And again, back here. We're not gonna go onto the inside here, especially if you don't have a squishy ball. You wanna just stay on that big muscle, okay? You might have heard, oh, I have shin splints, right? Well, this is that same concept, because a lot of times when people stride inappropriately, when they're walking, they might stride too long and they hit straight, and all that impact goes in there, and eventually it starts to tear up those muscles a little bit. The other position you can be in while you're doing this, if you feel comfortable, is just on the floor. Okay, so playing around, or maybe, again, you can do this on your couch, kneel on your couch or your bed. So we're just rolling that ball along those muscles that I pointed out along the outside of the shin. You can be on that chair or on the ground. If you can tolerate it, okay, I found a really sensitive spot, and now I'm just gonna kind of push my weight into that ball. And I'm gonna move my way down my shin bone. And again, I'm on the outside edge of my shin bone, and I'm just kind of putting my weight into it. I'm just gonna work my way down. Tennis ball will not feel as good as one of these squishy balls or a stress ball. I'm just making my way down and then putting some weight onto it. So otherwise, if you cannot do that, that's fine. You're just continuing to roll. I like to get way down right above my ankle or onto my ankle. And once again, I'm traveling here where all those muscles are. I'm not on my actual bone itself, okay? So let's go ahead and go the other side. Hopefully you made your way down your leg. So putting some pressure in to that. I'm just gonna try to show you an angle, but if you kind of shift your weight out to the side there, you're gonna be able to get really into the meat of that muscle, right in the center of that muscle. Just shifting your body a little bit. Can do the same thing here on your chair. I can shift my body that way a little bit and lean into it. Just hard to see the ball underneath my shin, but trust that I'm just moving my way down. The ball is like right there. And again, the other option is to just hold that ball and sit your weight into it and spread those fibers out a little bit, some pressure into them. Continue to make your way down by that ankle. Good. So we are going to now do some mobility of that whole ankle area, lower leg. So all those muscles, kind of, especially like your calf muscles, they originate up here a little bit and then insert down here, lower leg. They primarily move the ankle, but the quads and the hamstrings influence them as well from up top. But you can put your foot up on your couch or your chair, or if you don't have that, you can always come to the ground, and we're concentrating on this front foot, or maybe you want to go up to the wall as well. I like to put my foot up because then I can put weight down into it. So what I want you to do is put your foot flat, make sure this heel does not pop up, and you're seeing if you can drive your knee forward and then pull your hips down, and you're really going to take advantage of those tissues being loosened up now and mobilizing them. If I'm on the ground, I can come into it, and again, put some weight down onto that leg and that ankle, and we're just kind of moving in and out of it. Okay, I'm gonna stay up here because I have the chair. If you want to go up by your wall, just imagine this is my wall. So I'm just pushing into the wall, and I'm coming here, driving the knee forward a little bit so that you're really getting the ankle. But you can tell how if you can get that foot up, you can also turn your toe up against the wall. So that's the wall. And then I'm going to drive my knee into the wall, and you can start to get that ankle mobilized as well. So spend a little bit more time on it, giving you all those options. Of course, not everyone's able to sink all the way down into that knee and that hip, but you do what you can. Maybe you're way up here and that's just enough for you. We're gonna switch legs now. You can even put your foot up on a second or third step and do that as well. I'm gonna try to put a lot of weight into that ankle, really take advantage of stretching out those tissues. Another way I like to do this is I come to the ground and just drive my knees towards the ground. Get those ankles flexible, or just even sit into my ankles with my body. So variety. So if you review this later, you can play around with different motions. Maybe about 10 more seconds on this side. We're not expecting miracles or big, huge changes, but maybe just a little bit. Good. All right, so I thought we would go ahead and go into, we did a little bit of the thighs. We're gonna try to go into the hamstrings. If you have a bigger ball, some of you I know purchased some of these bigger mobility balls. This is like the perfect size for your hamstrings. Not everyone has that. You could even go to like probably the pet store and buy some firm balls if you don't want to get one of those. So you can either be on the floor or on a chair, okay? Now this chair isn't super firm, but if I got a bigger ball, I'm really gonna be able to spread out those hamstring fibers, okay? I'm never right on my ischial tuberosity, which is your butt bone. I'm below that, and then anywhere back in here. If I'm on the ground and you have your little tennis ball or mobility ball, you can always grab books or yoga block or something to put that ball on. So here's my pretend book, okay? And then I'm going to put that ball on my book, and then I have a firm pressure and I can kind of push into it and just move my body around a little bit as that ball pushes into my hamstrings and kind of spreads those hamstring fibers out, okay? This can be pretty sensitive, so just play around with it. We're gonna spend 2 minutes on one side, going in and out. I like to use a chair or a bench to sit on, because then I can kind of adjust the weight of my upper body. Like right now, I'm right here on those hamstrings. Not everyone knows what their hamstrings feel like. You might get out into the lateral quad a little bit or outside quad a little, and that's fine too, anywhere. So just kind of move that body, whether you're sitting on the ground or whether you're on your chair. If you're on your chair or bench, the advantage is you can extend and bend. You're lengthening the hamstrings and then you're contracting them while that ball is putting pressure on there. Keep moving your way down the hamstrings. If you're sitting here on your chair, you can actually move cross fiber, or you can just wiggle again, kind of like you did with your lower leg. If you're on the ground, you might have to stack that up a little bit. And I can even wiggle my leg side to side here on that ball, or maybe I find a spot, right? And I can just extend and bend a little bit, not gonna get as much flexion. So the ball is lower on my hamstring, okay? So I just continue to move down that leg. You can wiggle just like you did on your lower leg. Again, we stay away from this fold in our knee. Anything from there up is fine, right? Again, a lot of these muscles come down and they insert onto that lower leg, and that's why they bend the leg, bend the knee. So as you get down towards their insertion or attachment, they get pretty sensitive. So just be careful how you're maneuvering. Let's go to that other side now, okay? So again, starting at the top, finding some spots. I mean, those hamstrings, they're big, but yet they're not as big as you think they are, right? They're like right here. The rest of my thigh is probably my quad here coming down, my lateral quad, but they're still, pretty meaty, but anywhere in that area, up and down, side to side. I'm just constantly trying to move my body around so you can see different positions. Now, if across your years you've ever strained or pulled your hamstring or anything like that, you might be a little bit more sensitive where you tore those fibers, right? Unfortunately, if you're like me, I tore this one way up by its origin. A lot of those fibers are just all shriveled up and not even working anymore. And this one I actually ruptured in the belly, not ruptured, but severe strain. Both of them I was on crutches. That's the risk we take when we play sports, right? Good. And moving it around, I like to go side to side, but I also find it helpful to just wiggle forward and back and really go lengthwise with those fibers. We're just continuing to move our way down the back of that leg. I'm sure hoping everyone's finding these tissues. A really firm bench or chair is really gonna dig that ball up in there, but you can always put a book. You can always put a book underneath there, raise it up a little bit. And that would be equivalent, to even having this bigger ball. The bigger ball comes in handy for really spreading out those fibers more. I'm gonna go back to this ground one as we continue to move our way down that leg. I like to use my little guy when I get way down there towards the bottom. And again, you can wiggle. Good. So you can choose to stand or sit. I'll show both options. If you're sitting, you're just gonna have those legs out in front and you'll start to walk the hands down the legs, getting a little hamstring. So this is actually working on the flexibility in my back and hips as well as my hamstrings. You can lay on the ground and just work on hamstring mobility by bending, just holding that that upper leg in place, and then work on extending and bending that knee, and you're really lengthening through that hamstring. I find this to be the most enjoyable because as I pull my thigh in a little bit more, I have to challenge, and the floor is just supporting my back. If I'm standing, I'm just working on coming down. If you want to have your chair, depending upon your flex, maybe this is enough. Maybe you just rest. So finding that position that you might want to move in and out of. if you want to, you can just let it stretch. So again, anytime I'm seated and my legs are out or I'm standing like this, I mean, this is going to also influence here. It's not just stretching out those hamstrings. It could be pretty vulnerable on the back as well. So don't be afraid to lay on your back and just hug that thigh in. If you're doing one leg, switch to the other leg now and do this guy. So how we really test hamstring mobility is we do a straight leg raise. So when you bring your leg up, if you can't even get to, so we measure halfway between the knee and the hip. So let's just guesstimate. So right here, if I was to measure, that would be normal flexibility. Anything beyond that point is excellent flexibility in the hamstring. So a lot of times I'll do a hamstring check on clients and they have very good flexibility in their hamstring, but they can't touch their toes, right? Well, that's not just hamstrings. Again, that's your back. That's, your ability to flex at your hips and here, not just the hamstrings itself, okay? All right, so we did a lot of extremities today, and I hope that was helpful for some of you. I'm gonna bring us to a little guided meditation. So I want you to find I downloaded them, but I don't know where they are. Recently added, there we are. See if I can find this. Okay, so this one is 6 minutes long and it's titled Being Present. Okay, so I am going to start it and I'm just going to be quiet and you can sit or lie, whatever feels comfortable for you for the next 6 minutes.
Welcome. Welcome to the present. Relax your physical body in any way that you like. It doesn't matter where. Don't concern yourself. As long as it feels good in your body, you're in the right place. Get all the excess shifting and moving out of the body. Let it go. And as you come to settle, allow the eyelids to close down. Allow the moving and shifting to become less and less and less and less. As you bring your attention from outside of you now directly towards you. For these next few moments, nothing else exists, just you. Just you and your mind, just you and your heart, your thoughts, your emotions, and what you decide to feel and think. You are the creator of your reality. So as we step into that power, direct the muscles of your face to relax. The forehead releases. Your lower jaw releases. You may even feel some space between the top and bottom teeth. Allow your tongue to relax. And that wave of calm, that wave of relaxation moves down the entire body, just like a slow rolling wave. Let it move down, 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 down. neck, arms, chest, belly, your hips, your upper legs, your lower legs, your feet, calm and relaxed. And that awareness and that attention and that strength and that power and that confidence and that happiness and that joy and all of the emotions, the infinite amount of emotions you wish to experience more, you experience it right here, right now, by bringing your attention to the center of your chest, by bringing your hand and placing it at the center of the chest. We do this because now nothing else exists. Just you and your heart, you and your strength, right here, right now. That heart beating against your hand, pulsing life into your physical body. You now in your mind you see your life as if all your needs, all your desires, all your goals have already been accomplished. What does that look like? What does that feel like? What do you hear? What do you taste? What's around you? Who do you see? Go there. Right now, go there. This reality exists. Go there.
Okay, and you can slowly go ahead and open your eyes if you chose to close them. Sit yourself up if you're on the ground.